It may be a function of getting old, or it may be that the world has not just speeded up and shrunk in my lifetime, it has got much louder. But I have developed an allergy to noise as potent as that which some people have developed to cigarette smoke. I'm certainly not alone in that. But I think I may have an extreme case of cacophobia. Noise literally hurts me. It leaves me bruised. It wipes out my mind. I can't hear myself think. You can't separate noise from violence. It's aggression, assault. It wants to take over, to drown out perception, and usually it does. How can you escape it except by running away? But where can you run to? I used to do my writing in bars years ago, looking up from my notebook to watch and eavesdrop and sample the human condition. Then back to my own words and rhythms, alone, but in a crowd. I couldn't imagine that now. Anyway, how do people communicate here? How do they function? I guess they've got filters that I don't have access to. Maybe they like this babble.
Right now, I gotta go.
Is it true that most rock musicians have lost 30% of their hearing after the first 2 years?
Huh? What? 1, 2. Should we just play one for it?
2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
And we could probably be in the house a bit more. I was singing absolutely from the house. The monitor doesn't really mean much.
But I was curious, when you're doing the sound check, I heard you say, I'm playing to the house, not the monitor.
Yeah,
Well,
I was.
just tell me what you meant by that.
Well, you play to the big speakers that everybody else is listening to, and oftentimes you can hear it from the back of the room, it coming back to you, hitting the back wall, coming back, so you can kind of monitor yourself that way. Stage monitors are pretty dry, and they're right there, and they're pretty yucky sounding for the most part. If I can use yucky. I couldn't hear a thing, to tell you the truth. I was flying by the seat of my brand new trousers. I've been doing this long enough to kind of just do it and hear it in my brain that it's happening. Especially the singing is a hard thing to control. So you just have to kind of jump and hope that the net will appear.
When does music offend you and become noise rather than sound?
When it's terrible songs, I can take loud, really loud music if it's good music. I just put earplugs in. When it comes to music, I listen more for content rather than how it's being delivered in terms of decibels. I like loud rock music. I love it, but if it's not good loud rock music, then it becomes noise to me.
When you're talking about content, you're not talking about lyrics, you're talking about you as
Sure.
a instrumentalist?
No, I'm talking about just an overall song and the delivery of a song in terms of a good band and a good song. I can listen to it at brain-crushing volumes, and it doesn't seem like noise to me. I can listen to a terrible band quietly, and that's way more painful. Like my band. Oh wait, no.
But that sounds really subjective. Like,
Yeah,
this is my
it's
taste,
all a matter of
that's it.
taste.
But you must also have judgment that goes beyond taste.
Well,
Can't you appreciate music you don't like?
harsh sounding instruments or harsh deliveries or pitchiness, singing that's out of pitch, drumming that's out of time, I guess I'm talking more about performance things, but they translate into sound, and this is what we're talking about, is sound. So if it's a pleasing sound, you know, I can go for it. Some noises, you know, they kind of drive me up. Like, how is it that a dripping faucet can drive somebody crazy just off in the distance there? If you listen to it and get fixed on it, you know, it will drive you nuts. You have to get up out of bed and go and turn it off. Sometimes to go to sleep, I'll turn on a television, just white noise, which sort of masks any outside noise if I'm, you know, trying to sleep in, or there's traffic or whatever that's keeping me awake, or if I'm in a hotel. Like, I've actually slept up here. I think everybody in this room has probably slept in this dressing room at a certain point above a club, and there's people, noise, and you just try and mask it with white noise. Is a great trick, and you get used to it. Even though it's like, if it's constant enough, you soon forget that it's there. But if you turn it off, you'll wake up. It's like a refrigerator going off. Can I say refrigerator? Is that a...
Could you guys function and be happy together and perform if electricity disappeared?
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, music was acoustic for many, many years before electricity was invented. Electricity in guitars gives you feedback, a desirable kind of feedback. Jimi Hendrix was one of the first electric guitar players to use feedback as an instrument, as another quality to an electric guitar.
But he was also deliberately sometimes making noise rather than music.
He was, but you know, LSD has fantastic effects.
I remember.
Yeah.
I think I remember.
You think you do?
The sound of a sports crowd truly disturbs me. I hear the mob, the guillotine, Nuremberg, and yet shouting, screaming, laughing, crying, pandemonium. All the loud demons whose voices can take possession of us are in their element here. In every age and culture and land, you would hear this barbaric medley. The same in Jakarta, Buenos Aires, Amsterdam, Saskatoon. It's William Blake's echoing green. Children calling to each other and to the adults they will become across the years. I don't know if it's this archetype or a nostalgia for childhood or parenthood, but this is music to me. Not Wordsworth's still sad music of humanity, but its joyful counterpoint, and it delights me. My allergy is obviously selective. In all the horrors of Passchendaele and the Somme in World War I, during non-stop bombardments, the shells and machine guns, and with the stench of gas and the unburied dead in no man's land reaching for miles, the larks were singing, and nesting too, as these pigeons, whose ancestors were the rock doves of remote Caithness, nest within feet of our earth-shaking, roaring machines. Perhaps it's the ability, the instinct even, to place noise into the background and make it part of normality. That's how the filter works, if you have one. Traffic's the background to so many lives, surfacing when the domestic noises, the TV, the stereo, the furnace, the washer or dryer fall silent. In fact, if it stopped all at once, I wonder how startling, even alarming it might feel. It's a continuum, a sort of motorized music of the spheres. Listening to it now, I realize it's actually rather like the sound of surf breaking on a long strand, or wind combing the tops of forest trees. And the truth is that the opposite of noise is not silence. It's not even quiet. It's harmony.
From harmony, from heavenly harmony, this universal frame began, when nature underneath a heap of jarring atoms lay and could not heave her head. The tuneful voice was heard from high, arise ye more than dead, than cold and hot and moist and dry, in order to their stations leap and music's power obey. From harmony, from heavenly harmony, this universal frame began, from harmony to harmony, through all the compass of the notes it ran, the diapason closing full in man.
We are now recording. Everybody quiet. Quiet.
I am fascinated by the way people find shapes, harmonies in what normally would be sound. I remember as a little kid in South Africa once standing on a street and there was a cement mixer there and three girls were walking by and they suddenly stopped and they started dancing to the rhythms of the machine. And it wasn't very long ago, I was in my own house and there was a dishwasher going and I was printing something. And as the printer was going, and the dishwasher was going through the, I suddenly realized that I was living in a soundscape to which I could, if I pay attention, give a pleasurable shape. So I'm not really interested in noise in itself. I know there are composers who dealt with noise. I mean, Stockhausen just loved noise for its own sake. He is supposed to have burst into applause when his wife dropped a tray full of dishes in the kitchen, you know. And I know Murray Schafer has played with noise, and I think what he was doing, you hear sound, and the human listener creates shape within it. I'm listening, that's very melodic. Well, it's rhythmic anyway.
Hi, I'm just on TV right now. Oh, I used to live in an old house. Oh, I hate the squeaky floors. Holy cow, this looks like an episode of one of those home improvement shows. Anyways, here's the furnace. I don't know how these things work.
I like the idea of finding domestic noises, essentially, and creating out of them a musical composition that integrates them into a kind of harmony. I think this would inevitably be slightly humorous, you know, though I might be wrong about that too.
Oh, that should be enough. You know, I don't know, man. These energy efficient furnaces are not like the old ones.
Boring?
Yeah. See, it sounds way different with plastic. Your wife's gonna love me.
Would you go around sampling and then combining? Or would you try and set up something where everything in the house is happening at the same time and do a random thing?
I think I'd rather sample and then combine and experiment, and because I think there's so many ways to manipulate the sounds now, you know, digitally. If we start up the microwave, and I think that's kind of a cool sound. When, you know, when you start up the microwave, then it sort of changes power in the middle of the cycle. Like the bottom end of this sound. That's good bottom end.
There's a lot of fakery involved in reproducing. I was once recording something, again it was in Newfoundland, and we wanted a fire, and the technician said, oh, he got a bit of paper and did this. We had perfectly good crackling fire thing. We make up pictures for what we hear. I mean, it didn't really sound like a fire, and yet it did, you know? Do you fake a lot?
I'm always faking.
Yeah?
No, yeah, we do. You know, I do that all the time. I mean, if you record something beside a fire, the drag is that you've got this crackling over top of all the dialogue, and so then you've got to like try and get rid of the fire. So you're better off to like not record by the fire, or do you know what I mean? So then we're trying to like remove all this sound. It's easier to put it back in.
Right. Whereas the human being gets rid of the fire.
Yeah.
And some of us are much better at it than others. I'm not. If I'm on the telephone, there's any other sound going on, I can't concentrate on the phone. So I've got a deficient filter. But if you were sitting by a very loud bonfire and were talking to me, I could get rid of the fire enough to listen to you. What I'd like to do, if possible, is for you to play that single percussive thing. You remember I asked you what it was, and you said it's the microwave closer.
Ah, yes. Okay, yes. This one is the silverware drawer closing. And it's pitched down. Use the tea kettle, whistling. Captain, she's going to go. I can't hold her any longer. This is the washing machine knob. And it's pitched slightly. Here's the microwave running. And it's, once again, pitched down, but I've got another version of that. It sounds very industrial. And then what I did was I took some of the sounds and I sampled them, and then was able to play them back like on this keyboard, so I could get try and add some melody to this. That's the coffee grinder. One thing I wanted to do is try and get, you know, as many elements of music as I could in this, you know, like there's, you know, like rhythm, melody, dynamics, texture.
So when you say sampling, you're in fact transferring a basic sound into a keyboard which you can then modulate.
That's right.
And sound becomes note.
Yes.
Crescendo if you get carried away. It was great looking at that because it looked like this fish fossil, you know, with feathers on it as the sound went wobbling up. Why don't you let me hear what you've done with all this stuff? That's the microwave door?
Yeah.
What's the Aboriginal chanting underneath?
That's the washing machine.
It's cool.
Sample and play that.
It's really jungly. It's obviously as jungly as it is industrial.
It's my little breakdown for now. And here's the melodic part now, right? A lot of the big textures are taken out, so there's room for this to be heard. Tea kettle.
You felt the need, albeit by sampling an original sound, to put melody into it. So to you, noise itself, however dealt with, won't actually make satisfying music.
I think it can, but the noise has to be maybe somehow appealing. I don't know. I don't know if it can. You know.
Yeah. But it's interesting to me that even in the melody, you kept, in fact, a kind of almost mechanical is the wrong word because it sounds dead. But you know what I mean, because you're dealing with machines. You kept a mechanical cycle going.
Most people are used to listening to music that has a beat.
Uh-huh.
So I think maybe that's something that maybe listeners might find appealing. Is that there is that thumping beat. Part of music as well is the extremities, you know, of like loudness and, you know, the dynamic part of music, you know, that I think is so important because it can give people's ears, you know, the listener kind of a rest for a moment. And so that's what I wanted to accomplish in the beginning, was get this sort of huge, massive noise, and then
People would really want to dance to it.
yeah,
So maybe
Yeah,
they'll hear
maybe
their
they-
washing machines differently.
yeah, maybe.
You certainly did. I do run away from noise, I guess. Most of the time, I'm far beyond its reach, except sometimes for those domestic sonatas, of course. A friend from Toronto sat in my house one night here in the valley and said, "You know, it's unnaturally quiet here. This is a place where quiet, and darkness too for that matter, can be had for the asking. They never went away. The thing is, we all know that inside quiet, there is so much to listen to.